On the operating table, a genius and beautiful female doctor is performing open-brain surgery on a gang boss. What makes this surgery different is that it is being carried out inside a remote mountain temple. To ensure the operation's success, the doctor boldly wakes the anesthetized boss mid-surgery, testing his pain perception to accurately locate the problem inside his brain. Relying on her near-superhuman surgical skills, she successfully revives the boss from the brink of death, creating a medical miracle that should have been impossible. This genius doctor is Shiryu. Later that day, a female nurse approaches Shiryu. Due to a staff shortage, she was invited by one of Shiryu's partner doctors to assist. However, the nurse behaves arrogantly, claiming she knows everything about Shiryu's past. Shiryu asks her assistant, Xiao Su, to investigate the nurse. Xiao Su discovers that the nurse has a shady history. She once drugged elderly patients while working in a nursing home, and she previously worked at the hospital where Shiryu resigned, meaning she knows Shiryu's background very well. Shiryu was once a celebrated neurosurgeon at a major hospital, but after a fierce argument with her mentor in the operating room, her medical license was revoked. Since then, unwilling to accept defeat, Shiryu has been working underground, performing illegal surgeries using her extraordinary talent. Now, the corrupt nurse secretly injects drugs into the gang bosses for drip to blackmail Shiryu, demanding 2 million yuan every month as hush money. Shiryu has no license, and this was an extremely dangerous brain surgery. If exposed, she would be finished. After brief consideration, Shiryu agrees. For an underground doctor like her, survival comes first. The next day, the boss is transferred down the mountain. Shiryu assigns Xiao Su to deliver a refrigerated box to one of her partner doctors. Once Xiao Su leaves, the temple is empty. As a storm approaches, Shiryu begins her real plan: murder. Earlier, she had already drugged the nurse's drinking water. The nurse passes out. When she wakes up and realizes the danger, she tries to escape, but not before checking the money in her bag. While the nurse is counting cash, Shiryu attacks from behind, restraining her with a cold expression and killing her without hesitation. By the time Xiao Su senses something wrong and rushes back, it is too late. Shiryu asks him for tools so she can bury the body. After killing someone, Shiryu shows no fear. Instead, she calmly returns to her pharmacy at the foot of the mountain and continues treating patients as if nothing happened. Back home, Xiao Su scolds her angrily, calling her a lunatic and a psychopath. Shiryu, however, happily eats a popsicle. In her mind, saving one life and killing one life maintains balance, something she believes is good for the Earth's ecosystem. Soon, her calm is interrupted by a phone call. The caller is her former mentor, Professor Choi. Without waiting for a response, Professor Choi demands to meet. Shiryu's expression darkens. The unresolved hatred between them still haunts her. Professor Choi is a world-renowned neurosurgeon, and Shiryu was once his most prized student. Years ago, during a surgery, they clashed violently. Choi ordered Shiryu removed from the operating room. Enraged, she lunged forward and grabbed his throat. After being pulled away, Professor Choi slapped her hard in front of everyone. From that day on, Shiryu was banned from the operating room. No matter how she begged, Professor Choi never relented, completely abandoning her. Shiryu broke down in despair. She could give up everything, even her life, but never the operating table. Despite her inner madness, Shiryu lives quietly with several dogs. When caring for them, she looks nothing like a killer, just a simple, cheerful woman. Recently, Professor Choi discovered that someone had arranged an illegal brain surgery. Police recovered footage from a hard drive. After watching it, Choi became suspicious. Such a high-level procedure could only have been performed by himself or his estranged female disciple. That afternoon, Professor Choi visits Shiryu's home. She knows immediately he needs her help. As expected, he reveals the truth. He has a brain tumor and urgently needs surgery. The operation is extremely risky, and if he wants to continue practicing medicine, it must be flawless. He wants Shiryu to operate on him. Shiryu laughs bitterly. After everything he did, why should she save him? Professor Choi calmly threatens to expose her illegal surgeries if she refuses. Shiryu spirals into rage. Just as Choi turns to leave, he collapses. His emergency medicine bottle rolls to the floor. Remembering his cruelty, Shiryu coldly crushes the medicine under her foot. Fortunately, Xiao Su arrives in time, drags her away, and calls an ambulance. That night, Shiryu cannot sleep. Memories flood her mind. Years ago, she was a rookie neurosurgeon. Professor Choi was her idol, mentor, and guiding light. Rumors spread that Shiryu was brilliant but dangerous, a genius troublemaker. Colleagues warned Choi to stay away from her. On the day Choi returned from abroad, Shiryu visited him uninvited, proudly presenting her test paper and explaining every answer. She claimed to have read all his research papers. Choi said nothing, but realized the rumors were true. That night, Shiryu stared at her exam paper all night. Written on it was a single word: perfect. From then on, she clung to Professor Choi, begging him to teach her everything. She openly said her dream was to die on the operating table. Choi realized they were the same, both obsessed with surgery, human anatomy, and the brain. Despite their fallout, Choi could never deny Shiryu's brilliance. She was both a genius and a madwoman, just like him. After she rejected his surgery, Choi turned to Dr. Han, an anesthesiologist who worked with Shiryu in illegal operations. Han pleaded with her, revealing that Choi promised to help restore her medical license if she agreed. Shiryu still refused. She preferred her current life, operating on patients abandoned by major hospitals. Only impossible cases excited her. That night, she burned everything from her hospital days, files, records, and even the exam papers marked perfect. Meanwhile, Xiao Su investigates her past further and learns the truth. Shiryu was once promised a training opportunity in Boston, but it was given to another doctor simply because they were wealthy. Furious, Shiryu confronted Professor Choi and was slapped again. She was banned from surgery for nearly a year. One day, while Choi was away, Shiryu was allowed to perform a surgery. Just as it was about to succeed, Choi stormed in and had her dragged out. That was the moment their relationship completely shattered. Now, to save his life, Professor Choi once again clings to his former student, promising her unlimited opportunities in Boston. Shiryu rejects him coldly, even wishing him a miserable death. But Choi understands her too well. He knows her anger hides deep pain and resentment. Meanwhile, Shiryu is being stalked by Xiao Bitu, the restaurant owner's ex-convict brother. He harasses her daily. Enraged, Shiryu decides to kill him. She drugs his drink, lures him home, binds him in plastic wrap, and slits his artery with a twisted smile. That night, Xiao Su helps clean up the blood while Shiryu prepares to bury the body in the mountains. A police car passes by, just as danger peaks. She raises her shovel and realizes the man standing there is Professor Choi. To her surprise, she remains completely calm and casually pushes the body deeper into the pit. Even more shocking, Professor Choi shows no fear, no anger. Instead, he advises her to dig the grave a little deeper. Concerned that Shiryu may eventually be caught for murder, Professor Choi urges her to go to Boston and start over. Shiryu scoffs at the idea, fully convinced that her mentor would never report her to the police. As they speak, Ms. Luo, who arrived with Professor Choi, calls out nearby. Just as Shiryu predicted, Professor Choi lies on the phone, claiming he simply got lost and stumbled upon Shiryu burying her dead dog. The next morning, Xiao Bitu mysteriously disappears after freeing himself from his restraints. Police arrive at the restaurant to investigate, but find nothing suspicious. Instead, they kindly warn Shiryu to stay away from Xiao Bitu, believing he has been harassing her. Once the police leave, Shiryu smiles like an innocent young girl, her expression full of joy. Xiao Bitu is dead. His sister no longer has to sell the restaurant, and Shiryu can continue eating there. To her, this is a perfectly happy ending. Soon after, a colleague rushes in with bad news. The Ministry of Health is shutting down Shiryu's pharmacy for illegally selling prescription drugs. At the same time, Dr. Han's clinic, where her underground surgeries are anesthetized, is also ordered to close. Dr. Han urges Shiryu to suspend all illegal operations. Shiryu immediately realizes the mastermind behind this crackdown is Professor Choi. Over the phone, she demands that he fix the situation. Professor Choi remains calm and asks her to come to Busan to talk. Furious and restless, Shiryu is advised by Xiao Su to imagine her happiest, most peaceful memory. She closes her eyes. In her mind, she sees the operating room, especially moments when Professor Choi taught her without reservation. To resolve the crisis, Shiryu goes to a luxury hotel in Busan, where a prestigious medical awards ceremony will soon take place. Rumor has it that Professor Choi is set to win the Ida Award, his 10th consecutive victory, which would cement his status as a medical legend. Overhearing hotel staff, Shiryu learns that Ms. Ida, the award sponsor, has a critically ill son. His condition requires a surgery so dangerous that no doctor dares to attempt it. Shiryu sees an opportunity. That night, she tells Xiao Su she has no intention of meeting Professor Choi. Instead, she plans to cripple his pride. While Xiao Su sleeps, Shiryu sneaks out and enters Ms. Ida's hotel room. She plugs in a USB drive and plays a surgical video, footage of her own operation. The patient was a boy with a rare and complex brain condition rejected by countless hospitals. Using her unique technique and flawless precision, Shiryu completed the surgery successfully. She proposes a deal. She will operate on Ms. Ida's son and complete the surgery within 4 hours. In return, Ms. Ida must remove Professor Choi's nomination for the Ida Award. Ms. Ida coldly rejects her and has her escorted out. The next day, Shiryu tries again, warning that her offer expires once the ceremony begins. Ms. Ida refuses again, calling Shiryu immoral and unfit to be trusted with her son's life. On the eve of the award ceremony, Professor Choi attends a banquet. In a daze, he thinks he hears Shiryu calling him. When he looks up, she isn't there. His eyes fill with loneliness. Later, Ms. Ida asks him about Shiryu. Looking at the self-satisfied doctors surrounding him, Professor Choi declares that Shiryu surpasses them all. In the operating room, she never hesitates, never fails. To him, she is perfection. Moved by his words, Ms. Ida changes her mind and visits Shiryu, agreeing to let her perform the surgery. Overjoyed, Shiryu boards Ms. Ida's private jet to Japan, bringing Dr. Han along. During the operation, complications arise. The patient's vital signs destabilize, and other doctors panic, urging emergency closure. Only Shiryu remains focused, ignoring the chaos. Because of her unwavering resolve, the surgery succeeds. Ms. Ida keeps her promise. At the ceremony, the Ida Award goes to another doctor, not Professor Choi. From above, Shiryu watches her mentor with a cold smile. What she doesn't know is that Ms. Ida already told Professor Choi everything the night before. Despite knowing Shiryu acted out of revenge, Professor Choi vouched for her, asking Ms. Ida to give her a chance. After the ceremony, Shiryu meets Xiao Jin, whose father once underwent surgery performed by Shiryu in place of Professor Choi. Xiao Jin explains that his father received a strange phone call after surgery, saying he wanted a free life. He vanished shortly afterward. Shiryu recalls the past. Years ago, Xiao Jin's father, old Jin, had a brain tumor. Shiryu noticed Professor Choi behaving strangely, nervous, distant. More importantly, Choi forbade Shiryu from assisting. Sensing danger, Shiryu deliberately replaced the assistant and even cut Choi's hand during surgery. With Choi injured, Shiryu performed the operation herself. Afterward, she confronted him. She believed he intended to kill old Jin during surgery. Shiryu was certain because she believed Professor Choi was just like her, a madman at heart. Now, she accuses him directly of murder. Professor Choi denies everything and drives away. Later, Professor Choi accompanies police to a mountain temple. They've located the site of an illegal brain surgery. While searching nearby woods, police discover the nurse's body, strangled to death. Professor Choi is horrified. He knows instantly, Shiryu did this. Years ago, he once found a corpse hidden in Shiryu's home. When exposed, Shiryu claimed she killed a man who tried to assault her. Professor Choi calmly asked if she could handle it herself. She nodded. That was when Shiryu realized her mentor was the same as her. Now, with the nurse's body exposed, Shiryu returns to the scene unafraid. She confronts Professor Choi, accusing him again of killing old Jin. She vows to find old Jin's body. Shiryu teams up with Xiao Jin to search for his father. They trace clues to a closed mental hospital. A former repairman admits a patient resembling old Jin once lived there and had a surgical scar on the back of his head, confirming his identity. Later, Shiryu notices the repairman wearing old Jin's ring. Realizing the truth, Xiao Jin attacks the man in a rage. During the struggle, both tumble down a slope in the rain. The repairman dies. Xiao Jin is hospitalized. Shiryu retrieves the ring and storms into Professor Choi's office, throwing it at him. Furious, She shouts that if he had told her the truth earlier, she would have killed old Jean for him, sparing him the guilt. She never realizes, while she believed she was avenging her mentor, he was protecting her all along. Forensic analysis reveals dog hair on the nurse's body, hair from a Rottweiler, the same breed Shiryu owns. That night, Professor Choi picks up the investigating officer in old Jin's Rolls-Royce. He drugs the officer mid-conversation. As the car speeds through the darkness, Professor Choi's eyes turn cold and resolute. In this moment, he looks exactly like his most terrifying student. End of episode. Don't forget to like, comment, share with friends, and subscribe to the channel. That's the only way you can support the channel for absolutely free. I will be back with the rest of the story soon.